He owns and operates the Pack a Day podcast that airs 365 days a year with over 12 million views on YouTube. A new adventure begins. It's time for the Pack a Day radio show with Andy Herman on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
Good morning, Milwaukee. Good morning, Packers Nation. It is Monday. It's not just any Monday. It is the opening of Packers training camp week in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Life is good. We've got Packers football on Wednesday, and it could not feel any better than what it feels like right now. Welcome into the Pack a Day radio show. My name is Andy Herman. You are live on the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. To help us kick off training camp week, we've got Ryan Wood joining us, PackersNews.com. Would also love for you to join the show. You can join us on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250. How are you feeling going into Packers training camp week? I should mention Ryan will be joining us right around 8:20 a.m. today. We have got so much to discuss. It does feel great that Packers football is back. It is right around the corner. We've got a great week of guests all week long today to help us celebrate the return of Packers football. We've got Ryan Wood today. We've got Paul Brettel coming up tomorrow. Tyler Brooks going to be on later this week. Bill Huber's going to be joining us. Mike Spofford's going to be joining us. It's going to be an absolutely epic week. And of course, again, the return of training camp on Wednesday. I'll have you covered. You can follow me on social media as well if you want all the live tweets from camp. And every single day we'll be covering it, previewing it, everything that happened the day before, because right here on the Pack a Day radio show, we talk Packers 300, well, not 365, I guess. We're here Monday through Friday, 52 weeks a year, and every day we are talking Packers all the time. Tommy, it is great to be back chatting with you. Thank you so much for covering for me on Thursday and Friday. How'd things go? How was your weekend? How was life, my friend?
Yeah, life's good right now. Got to watch Scotty dominate all weekend. I was a fan of that. Pack-A-Day went great last week. It was mainly talking about really just the biggest storylines we got coming into this week and all the position battles, everything you needed to know and everything we were curious about. We got it all out there on Thursday and Friday, and I think it went well. Andy.
If you think you covered the biggest storylines, boy, do I have news for you, Tommy. Over the weekend, the Packers cut Nesta Jade Silvera and Cameron Young, and it does not get much bigger than that. We're going to talk about some of those roster moves and specifically what they may mean for Green Bay moving forward. Of course, we'll talk a little bit of Brewers when we get to segment 3 as well, just because they're the best team in baseball right now. They're absolutely unstoppable. They've won 10 in a row. They sweep the Dodgers again. That'll be a fun conversation to have. We'll talk a little bit about that in segment 3. The Summer League Bucks were disappointing. We will maybe still not see a Bucks Summer League championship in our lifetime. It remains elusive. Hopefully the Brewers can win a championship so we can check that one off. But the Bucks Summer League, it's a hard one to get, Tommy. We'll get there maybe someday.
If there was a midseason tournament for MLB baseball, the Brewers would be the favorite right now, Andy. I would tell you that. I will tell you that.
Don't give them any ideas. Don't give them any ideas of because that would be like the Brewers' luck of like the one championship they do win is like an in-season championship or some crazy crappy thing like that. But it would still be fun. I wouldn't hate it per se. I enjoy for the most part the NBA in-season tournament, but you are 1,000,000% right. If there was one, the Brewers would absolutely tear it up right now. The pitching is insane. The relief pitching is insane. Right now the bats are hot at the right time. Players are up and coming. They've got players coming back from injury. Can't wait to see what goes wrong the remainder of the season in Classic Brewers.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky
Bobby. I'm kidding. It is all going to go swimmingly, and there will be no downside whatsoever. We know how Wisconsin sports goes. All right, before we get to all of the roster moves and exactly what that means for the Packers, we have Nate in East Troy on the line 1 here. Of course, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. Nate, how the heck are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, Andy. Long-time listener. I've been on a Pack-A-Day journey for about a year and a half now with you, actually. Huge
Love that.
fan. Always wanted to call in.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for calling in. What do you got for us today?
I just wanted to talk some Brewers baseball. I hear you guys talking, chatting them up a little bit, and I've been seeing some stats out there that aren't actually looking too good, but the Brewers keep producing here. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I'm assuming I saw Aaron Nagler post this the other day, and I'm assuming that you're maybe talking about this list of statistics. It was from Bulls Skilled Me on social media. I'm assuming if it's a Bulls fan, it's probably a Cubs fan, would be my guess. And this is what he said. And this was when they were 18 games over 500, Milwaukee Brewers. They are last in team barrel rate, last in team exit velo. And I should mention, I have not confirmed any of these stats. I don't know if producer Tommy, super producer Tommy, can check on any of these. But this was the thread. And again, I know Nagler and a couple other people reposted these as well. But this is what was posted. Last in team barrel rate, last in team exit velo, second last team launch angle, 20th in team batting average, third last in team slugging percentage, sixth last in, I don't even know what some of these are, WOBA, WOBA-CON, first in soft hit percentage, first in infield hit percentage, first in infield hits, fourth last in fly ball percentage, second in ground ball percentage, 19th in OPS, fifth last in ISO. Let's see. And even the pitching, 13th in FIP, 4th in ERA, 11th in whip, 10th in hard hit rate. They really aren't even elite pitching-wise, is what this man goes on to say. Again, I have not gone through and double-checked any of those statistics and where they were actually at. But what I will tell you is I know that if you look at some of the elite analytics for the Milwaukee Brewers, they don't stand out in any major way, shape, or form. I do know that this is a team that is playing, in my opinion, baseball the right way, that puts the ball in play, that has good speed on the bases, that plays incredible defense, that is pitching out of their mind right now. And I do, if I had to guess, and again, not my Brewers and baseball statistics, not my number 1A forte, I will be fully transparent on that. I will tell you that I bet a lot of those statistics were skewed on some of their early season struggles. And my guess, if you were putting together a list over the last month or two of the season when they've really started to pick up and play some of their best baseball, I bet a lot of those statistics would be a whole heck of a lot different. So either way, I get baseball is sort of the ultimate statistics sport. You can view these in a lot of different lenses, a lot of different angles. And to me, this is a team that when you take the box score stats maybe aside and throw on the TV and watch the Brewers day in and day out, you see a team that plays a beautiful brand of baseball. And I think it really frustrates that. I mean, look at Kershaw yesterday. Like, Kershaw was just flummoxed by the entire Brewers experience. They beat the Dodgers 6 times in their last 6 games that they've played them. This is not just any, getting luck on the base pads or, whatever. This is a very, very good baseball team that teams are not excited to play. And I think the pitching is what leads the way. The defense is what backs it up. And their bats are hot right now to the extent that they're putting runs on the board. And Tommy has been pointing it out all year long that if they put up 4 runs or more, this team just wins consistently. Now they're actually putting up 4 runs or more, and you're seeing the difference. So, yeah. Tommy, I'll let you add to that since you are Brewers Man 101.
I would also like to bring up, if you bring up hard hit percentage like they have on the offensive side, they're also number 1 in baseball on the pitching side. They don't give up a lot of hard hits either. Yeah. They put the ball in play, like you said, on the offensive side, and the pitching's just gross. It's not. This is maybe the most excited you should be to be a Milwaukee Brewers fan in my lifetime. The last 25 years or so, I don't know any other time I would have been more excited at the midway point or all-star break of the season.
Yeah, I would probably, just because it was like sort of my infancy of Brewers fandom, the Prince Fielder, Ryan Braun, J.J. Hardy, Corey Hart, some of those teams that, I was super excited about. But this is right there. And I'm not going to argue that this is not the most exciting one. It's absolutely in that conversation. And if you want to put them one, I will have no argument against it whatsoever. And just kind of wrap it up, my favorite part about this person, Bulls Killed Me, I think it is, sorry. The best quote on this entire thing is, damn this satanic organization. I pray nothing but the worst towards the city of Milwaukee. That's all you need to know, is when there's a Cubs fan that is speaking those words into existence, the Brewers are doing exactly what they should be doing. If Cubs fans are are feeling that way after watching the Brewers play and be, as great as they are in the standings, they're right now tied with the Cubs for first in the NL. It's a good time to be a Brewers fan, Tommy.
Great time.
We'll leave it at that.
Right there, for sure.
All right, so I appreciate the phone call. Obviously, we want to talk a lot of Packers, but I understand that anyone wants to call and talk Brewers right now. I totally get it. And by the way, for those of you who are diehard Packers fans but are Wisconsin sports fans, right? This has been myself for a huge majority of my life. a lot of times what you're asking the Brewers to do is to get you to this Wednesday. Be like, I need the Brewers to get me to July 23rd when Packers training camp starts. Like, if they can be relevant, exciting, and get me to that point, it is a very good thing for Wisconsin sports fans who are diehard Packers fans that maybe are Brewers fans on the side. And I'm not that anymore, but I was at a time. The Brewers have effectively done their job. If you are a hardcore Packers fan, that's just, again, maybe kind of a side Brewers fan, they have definitely done their job to get you into Packers training camp. And again, I'll still very much be cheering on the Brewers and watching them very closely and intently from here on out. But again, if you're not that person and are now just going to focus in on the Packers, well, kudos to the Brewers for doing their job and making it exciting up until this point for sure. All right, the Packers, as mentioned, did make some moves as you're listening to the Pack-A-Day radio show live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios and powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The Packers did make two moves, as I mentioned, two releases, and then they made some other moves that are noteworthy as well. They did release Nesta Jade Silverin and Cameron Young, two defensive tackles. It's interesting that these are two defensive tackles who do actually have snaps in the NFL. These are not just nobody undrafted free agent guys. In fact, Cameron Young, I believe, was a fourth-round pick previously. Nesta Jade Silveira has 95 snaps in the NFL. Cameron Young has 203. It's nothing major, but these are actual players who have played downs in the NFL. They released both of them. It makes it interesting as well that they are down to 8 defensive tackles on the roster. Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, Warren Brinson, James Esther, Nazir Stackhouse, and Keith Randolph. Those are your 8 current defensive tackles who will make up the 5 or 6 defensive tackles that will make this team. I don't know that we need to spin a story too aggressively that Nesta Jade Silveira or Cameron Young were in this huge conversation to be part of the 53-man roster. But if you are guys like Warren Brinson, the 5th-round pick, or 6th-round pick, I should say, James Esther, Nazir Stackhouse, Keith Randolph, those type of players, this is huge for you. There are 2 less defensive tackles currently in that room. That is going to get you more reps. That is going to get you more playing time in preseason and in family night. And it's going to give you more opportunity to prove yourself. And if nothing else, opens up even more potential for practice squad spots as well. So I think for those players, it's really important. You know, it's interesting that, you know, for a team that kind of preaches and says all about the competition that they want at all the spots, it is interesting. Well, Clark and Wyatt are locks. We know that. But Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden have, at least on paper right now, very minimal competition. You know, Warren Brinson's probably more in just that 5th spot. And then I don't know that Brinson, Esther, Stackhouse, or Randolph are pushing Colby Wooden or Carl Brooks for roster spots at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe some of those guys step up, but it would feel like Brooks and Wooden are almost locked in and of themselves to make the team. And even Brinson seems like a really sure bet. I know a lot of people are really high on Nasir Stackhouse. We talked about it with Owen Reese before I left last week. And, you know, Stackhouse was definitely a player that a lot of people expected to be drafted. Even if he was, we're talking 6th, 7th round pick at absolute best, would have had to earn his way onto the team anyway. He was UDFA, and if you look at him, number 93, and just do like quick look, you almost see a player that looks like TJ Slayton. He's wearing that 93. He's got a similar style of hair. Like you see like almost that, but I think he's a little bit more of like a Jonathan Ford more than a TJ Slayton. So I wouldn't quite go to the extent yet that this is somebody that's just like, oh yeah, he's going to be a really good bet to make the team. He could be. He's an interesting prospect, but a little bit weaker depth now at the defensive tackle position. This does also open up now 3 roster spots on this team, which I would expect them to fill before we get to the start of training camp, which is, again, on Wednesday. So I would expect some transactions to happen either today or tomorrow. We may go over that a little bit more in segment 3 when we get to it as well. So kind of keep an eye on that. But they also made some other moves that are noteworthy here. First and foremost, they put 5 players on the physically unable to perform list. It should be noted that these are the only 5 players now that can be on the PUP list at any point this season. They can't add more players on it. They can't take players off and put them back on. If at any point any of these players get activated, they, again, as mentioned, cannot go back on it. And if you want to put somebody on the PUP list to start the regular season, knock them out those first 4 games, you have to start the training camp with it and then end training camp on it as well. So these are the only players that could be on PUP at any point this season. You have Christian Watson, Quay Walker, Colin Oliver, Micah Robinson, and John Williams. Not much to talk about here with Christian Watson. We knew this. We expected it. He was always going to start training camp on the PUP list. Probably is going to go through the entirety of training camp and start the season on the PUP list as well. The other ones are a bit more interesting. Quay Walker, it's tough to tell exactly what's going on here. Quay did not practice in minicamp. The official word from PR was that this was going to be somebody who is going to be back by the time training camp starts. Training camp is now starting. He is not back. It should be noted they can take him off of this at any point in time that they want. So by Wednesday, Thursday, they could activate him. He could be good to go near the start of training camp. That might be not much ado about nothing, but he is injured. We don't exactly know what the injury is. There's also a contract, hanging in the back here. We don't know if this is anything contract related at all, but it should be noted that the Packers did not pick up his 5th-year option like they did with his former Georgia teammate Devontae Wyatt. And with Quay not getting that 5th-year option, he's now an unrestricted free agent next year. So I don't know if he's upset about his contract situation, and this is sort of another Elton hold-in type of situation, or if this has nothing to do with the contract whatsoever and is purely an injury situation. Either way, not ideal that he's not going to start Packers camp, and you want him back there as soon as possible. Also leaves the linebacker room very, very thin. Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper, Isaiah Simmons, Christian Welch, and Jamon Johnson. Only 6 guys. This would be one with one of those 3 roster spots that they have open that I would expect them to address in some real way. It would be tough to get through, preseason. I guess Cooper's probably the only one that you have to kind of protect and not play a ton. So you could play McDuffie, Hopper, Simmons, Welch, and Johnson all throughout those preseason games, but I would still expect them that, come 4th quarter, they probably want a player or 2 more maybe on that roster just to kind of eat some of those snaps come preseason. So we'll see if they make some transactions there. It should give Isaiah Simmons and Tyron Hopper some significant playing time with the ones, though, which should be very beneficial for both of those guys and give Edgerrin Cooper even more autonomy in that linebacker room while Quay Walker's out. So we'll see how that progresses. And then the other 3, Colin Oliver, Micah Robinson, and John Williams, what I'll just say here is I hate when rookies start off injured and miss any time. And John Williams already missed all of OTAs and mini camps. You have Micah Robinson, who's missed all of minicamp and again now is hurt for training camp, as is again John Williams. And Colin Oliver missed all of OTAs and minicamps and now is hurt to start training camp as well. So you have 3 rookies, and they're late round rookies, 5th and 7th round picks that are now beat up and not starting camp. And again, you just miss extremely valuable reps as rookies. I hate it. You always want them to get off to a strong start. Hopefully these are short term, but these are definitely going to be worth monitoring. I would say the one that matters the most at the moment is Micah Robinson. They have the depth at defensive end for Colin Oliver. They have plenty of depth along the offensive line for John Williams, but Robinson's legitimately competing for that number 4 corner spot. Like, it is up for grabs. Him, Kalen King, Kamal Haddon, etc. That's all right there for them. So the sooner, again, any of those guys can get back, but especially Micah Robinson, it's going to be better for them. And then last but not least, we have 3 players put on the non-football injury list: Amar Johnson, Alex Hale, Elton Jenkins. Probably don't need to talk about Alex Hale all that much other than hopefully he comes back. Just put all the workload on Brandon McManus as a over 30 kicker. You probably just want some of that workload taken off. They may just have to limit some of the kicking reps. If Hale's out for any consistent period of time, they could just move on from Hale as well. We'll see if they make any move there. Elton Jenkins, of course, is the big one. Contract situation looming. We don't know if this is actually like a legitimate injury or if they're just like, all right, we know he's going to be holding in anyway for some, hamstring, back, whatever injury. And as soon as that contract is done, oh, look, Elton's feeling a whole heck of a lot better. Interesting how that works. My guess is this is primarily contract related, but hopefully there's not an injury there as well that we also have to worry about. Hopefully this is just primarily, again, contract. And once that's figured out, that injury magically goes away. But it's worth noting nonetheless that he is starting on an injury list. And it doesn't always work that way. Just because they're holding in doesn't mean that they always put him on some sort of injured list. So we'll have to kind of monitor that. And then Amar Johnson, the only thing I'll say there is, again, I hate when rookie players, especially undrafted ones as well, are trying to battle and scrap and claw for any sort of practice squad or roster spot, and they don't even get that opportunity because they're hurt early on. Hopefully he can get back sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, it really helps the other undrafted free agent running back, Jalen White, as he is now the 5th running back and will get more reps because Amar Johnson is missing. The thing that also is noteworthy here is that it's not just the players who are on the injured list. It's also players that are not on the injured list. There are more than a handful of players that did not finish minicamp that are not listed on any PUP or non-football injury list. It doesn't necessarily mean they're 100%. They could only do individual. They might still be in a red contact jersey, no contact jersey, etc., but they're not on the injured list, which is huge. These are all players that did not finish minicamp practicing. Jaden Reed, Kamal Haddon, Omar Brown, Kalen King, Zane Anderson, Aaron Banks, Julian Hicks, Rasheed Walker, Travis Glover, and Savion Williams. All of those not on any sort of injury list, which is massive, especially for the offensive line with Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Travis Glover, those guys practicing. The corner room with Kalen King and Kamal Haddon. You would have hated if those two guys couldn't get off to a strong start. Omar Brown and Zane Anderson competing at safety. Jaden Reed, of course, at wide receiver. Savion Williams, hopefully he's out of the red jersey and can practice right away. So we actually got a lot of good news in that a lot of those players that missed the end of minicamp are not on any sort of injury list either. And then the last thing I'll mention here is that Anthony Belton did sign his contract as well. We thought there'd be a domino effect once some of those second round picks started to sign. That was in fact the case, and Anthony Belton will be good to go for the start of training camp. So lots of injuries that are not on that list, lots of injuries that you still have to get cleaned up. Again, the 8 players who are on some sort of injured list to start the training camp for Green Bay: Christian Watson, Quay Walker, Colin Oliver, Micah Robinson, John Williams, Amar Johnson, Alex Hale, and Elton Jenkins. And again, we'll be watching those. It's at least worth noting somewhat. We expected Watson going back all the way to last year. And then the only 2 other ones that are real, kind of the key players are Elton, who we believe is just contract related, and again, kind of expected this. And then Quay Walker is the only other one. The rest, Amar Johnson, Alex Hale, Colin Oliver, Micah Robinson, John Williams, kind of competing for some of those back of the roster spots. We would love to see Colin Oliver out there and see what he can do, but Quay Walker, kind of the unexpected one here, and hopefully he can get back sooner rather than later. All right, we've got a lot more to discuss. We've got Ryan Wood coming up in just a minute here, and you're not going to want to go anywhere. If you missed anything on any of our shows all week long, either last week or coming up this week, you can check us out for free on the Odyssey app or on thefanmilwaukee.com. Currently in Milwaukee, it is 66 degrees and partly cloudy, and we have a high today of, Tommy, because my app wants to be mean here, we have a high today of 72, a low of 65. Looks like it's going to be a nice, cool day in Milwaukee. We're going to be right back with Ryan Wood. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to the Pack a Day Radio Show, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Reminder that the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis is coming up next from 9 to 11 right here on The Fan. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, is the one and only Ryan Wood. You can find him on social media at @ByRyanWood. You can find him on PackersNews.com. Ryan, great to be chatting with you. It is Packers training camp week. How are you doing, my friend?
Andy, every year we get to the start of training camp, and you know what's on my mind? You know the question I have coming in, where'd the offseason go, right?
Oh, my God.
And then
yeah.
at the end of every season, whenever it ends, I always ask myself, where'd the season go? It just seems like it goes faster and faster, but here we are, and it's exciting. It's training camp week.
It is. I am with you. This was the fastest offseason that I can remember. I don't know if it felt that way for anybody else, and I know the NFL does such an incredible job of filling every waking moment of the offseason with whether it's coaching changes, draft preview, then the draft, then draft review, then free agencies in there. And we've just got everything, right, in minicamp, OTAs, and then all of a sudden you get that one like 5-6 week period from end of minicamp to the start of training camp. And even that, to me, went faster than it's ever gone before. So I'm right there with you, but I'm more and more excited for, of course, Wednesday for Packers football actually to get back and us to have actually real football to talk about rather than random prognostications.
Weren't we just at the draft in Green Bay? Like I felt like it was 3 days ago. But you know what? It's secular. So we're going to close our eyes, and next thing we know it's going to be week 10, and it's going to be hurtling to the stretch run for the playoffs. So this is how it goes. This is my 12th, going into my 12th season covering this team.
That's
I swear,
crazy.
every year it just goes faster. It's a remarkable way to mark the passing of time.
Ryan, we opened the last segment by talking about some of the moves that Green Bay made. Of course, they released Nesta, Jade Silvera, Cameron Young, nothing major there, but they also made some injury moves as well. Christian Watson on the PUP list, we knew that, but Quay Walker, Colin Oliver, Micah Robinson, John Williams on PUP, Amar Johnson, Alex Hale, Elton Jenkins on the non-football injury list. What did you make of those initial injuries and maybe even some of the ones that were not on that injury list as well?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, the timeline for return. Obviously, when you're on PUP, you can begin the season on PUP as well instead of the 53, saves a roster spot, but that means that it delays the start of your year. So we don't know anything yet about these guys and what their timetables are going to be. Each one's going to be individual. We'll see how much we learn from Matt LaFleur. He's always very coy with the injuries, obviously, but we're just going to have to track it. Obviously, they want all their guys back when they can get them.
I know, at least I'm assuming that there's not an answer to this because I'm sure you would have probably reported on it and written about it so far. But do you think there's any chance that the Quay injury is a similar Elton sort of situation, that this is a contract in disguise, that he's maybe upset that there's no fifth-year option? Or are you taking this a little bit more at face value that this is probably some sort of real injury situation?
It's hard to speculate. Whenever a guy's on PUP, there's some type of injury there. Yep. So if it's significant or not is the question. We don't know. So we'll have to find out.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a little bit more clarity on that, and hopefully it's nothing major for Quay, and hopefully he's back sooner rather than later, obviously being a key part in the middle of the defense and the person who calls the plays. One of the things I wanted to talk about you as we're being joined by Ryan Wood. You can follow him on social media at @ByRyanWood, and of course on the wonderful PackersNews.com. You wrote a story in May on Matthew Golden and just kind of his journey into the league. It was phenomenally done, and I just kind of wanted you to touch base on that, plug that a little bit, but also kind of go through a couple of your key takeaways from that piece on Matthew Golden.
Well, what a remarkable journey he's had to becoming this person in history now. The answer to a trivia question: who is the receiver that broke the 23-year drought of the Packers not drafting a receiver in the first round? And before the draft, I think we all kind of remember Matthew Golden answering a question: what's the first thing that you would do with this signing bonus coming your way? And he said, buy back my grandmother's house. And it got my attention when I heard that, and my thought was, I got to learn more about this house. So what's the significance of this house? And sure enough, this was not just his grandmother's house, but really his family home, built by his grandfather for his grandmother on the piece of property that his grandmother grew up on. Her childhood home had burnt down in a fire, so her husband rebuilds this home for him, and they had it in their family through the generations. It was a kind of an idyllic place in Texas where he grew up, where his family called their own. And long story short, it got repossessed because of back taxes. Matthew Golden's mother didn't want to go into the particulars, but what was really jarring is that not only did they lose their home, this home was right next to the church that Matthew Golden and his mom went to every Sunday. So every Sunday they'd had to then drive past this home and see pieces of their life one at a time taken away. And every week it was a reminder of what had been lost. One Sunday morning, Andy, they're driving to church. Matthew Golden looks out his window, and he'd already told his mom at this point. Everybody that's made the NFL as a kid had told their parents, one day I'm going to be in the NFL. I mean, that's not unique. But he tells his mom, when I get to the NFL, I'm going to get this all back. This is not going to be gone for long. So sure enough, it's been on the market. I asked Matthew Golden after the draft if he'd bought the house back yet, and he said not yet, but that's certainly in the plans. We'll find out maybe in training camp whether that's happened yet.
Yeah, it's a remarkable story, and it just feels like one of those motivating factors to make Matthew even better and just have something to kind of guide him on his journey to the NFL. It's a remarkable story. Make sure you check it out from Ryan over at PackersNews.com. But I'm excited to hear as well if he actually has been able to acquire that house as of yet, or if that's still a work in progress. But hopefully he can get it back at some point in time for him and his family, because that's, again, it's a remarkable story. And I know it's a very important piece for him and his entire family. So looking forward to getting a little bit of an update on that. We'll see where that kind of goes from there. You mentioned already that with training camp starting, one of your top things that you're wondering is how the heck did the offseason go so fast? But what is on top of mind for you as you enter training camp? Is there a storyline, a player, a new coach, Matthew Golden's house? Like, what's on top of mind for you of what you want to find out at the start of training camp here?
I think the themes on both sides of the ball are pretty well defined, the primary themes going into this 2025 season. First, is this third season of Jordan Love the season where he takes that ultimate leap, right? Is this where his game elevates to a level where he puts this Packers team not just in playoff contention territory, but real legitimate Super Bowl contention territory? Because it starts there. It's going to start with the quarterback. And he's had a really good start. There's a reason he got paid a year ago. He's had two really solid seasons, but there's got to be more there. And going into this year 3, I think is going to be a very pivotal year for him in the early career development as he goes along. So that's number one to me. On the other side of the ball, I think it's all about that second year in Jeff Hafley's system. And how does, after getting a full year of sample size and learning his guys, how to best maximize and utilize his guys, and the creativity that we saw Jeff Hafley use last year, how does he take that a step further with this personnel this year, especially up front, especially with the pass rush, being able to generate more pressure on the quarterback than a year ago? Can the secondary do what it did last year and hold up on the back end, because it was very good in Jeff Hafley's first season on the back end in coverage. So that year 2 of the Jeff Hafley system and how it mirrors the offense and Jordan Love's continued development and emergence, I think those are the primary themes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And the Jordan one is obviously huge. And I think he's primed to take that step. But that, of course, is going to be the multi-million-dollar question for Jordan moving forward, and whether he can be the person that leads this team to a Super Bowl, maybe can be part of a Super Bowl team, or if he potentially holds the team back from being able to compete for a Super Bowl. I think those are really interesting questions for him as a quarterback and as a starter moving forward for not only camp, but, of course, the season as well. You said 14 years covering the team, Ryan, or was it 12?
12, going into a dozen, Andy.
All right, going into a dozen. All right, so I can only imagine that there are some incredible moments that are at top of mind, some unbelievable stories. As you look back at your 12 years now, or going into your 12th year covering the Green Bay Packers, what are the training camp moments, players, stories that stand out most to you as you kind of go down memory lane?
You know, I should have good stories for you. I'll be honest. What stands out to me most, and I think that you will fully appreciate this. What stands out to me the most about training camp is the heat. We are standing there on that rubber track, and I am melting most days like the Wicked Witch of the West. And then we go and we do it again. We do it again. That's training camp right there. Training camp is not. It's not a glorious battle, right? It's the slog. It's the grime. It is the absolute grind of a month getting into the season. But what makes it special is that it's all about football, right? And there's things that I've learned over the years. Everyone wants to make such a big deal of those first few days of training camp. Understandably why, because we haven't seen football in so long, and it's exciting to see football again. But what you see early in training camp compared to what you see early in September, compared to what you see in December, is not the same. So learning to pace yourself, learning to take everything in the context of what it is, and not making too much out of something, especially early. And then we know this too. It's not training camp until the pads are on. It's not football until they really strap them up. And obviously that's coming later in the week. What the first couple of days are is really a continuation of OTAs and the off-season program, just kind of as a refresher to build that foundation for when the pads come on. So those, I look at it more as lessons. There over the years you see some Aaron Rodgers no-look passes. You see Romeo Doubs come in and show, oh my goodness, this kid, a fourth-round receiver as a rookie, he could be a player. Who the training camp risers are. I'll never forget years ago, Ladarius Gunter, undrafted cornerback. Right, he comes in and nobody knows who he is, and he's covering the starting receivers, and like, okay, this guy might actually be able to stick here. And sure enough, he had a couple seasons in the league. It's kind of the unpredictable. It's being ready for anything and seeing what will happen, and it's always memorable.
I want to touch base on a few of those things just really quick, because I think first of all, with Ladarius Gunter, what stinks about the Gunter situation is it's not his fault he was elevated into corner one, right, and had to go against the Odell Beckhams and the Julio Joneses of the world. If he just stays as like the number 4 corner on any team, I think it's a really fun and exciting story that he was this undrafted free agent that made the team and is a serviceable number 4 or 5 corner on the, in the NFL. I think it would have been awesome, but instead he had to like elevate past all of these players that they spent first and second round picks on, and couldn't stay out on the field, and was put in a very disadvantageous situation. So it went from like this awesome story to like, oh, Ladarius Gunter, we don't like him because he's in this position he's never supposed to be in the first place. So I think that's always an interesting one. For those of you who are not aware of what Ryan's talking about on the track on the outside of training camp, so if you're familiar with like on a very hot like 80-90 degree sunny day, or if you go out on like blacktop and like the heat is just radiating off the blacktop and you can feel it so much more, there's this rubber black track that acts basically like blacktop on the side that just the media is standing on, and some fans as well, and that thing just absolutely goes nuclear. So we pray for overcast skies and a little bit of a breeze, because even on like a 75 and sunny day, it feels like 103 out on that track. So it is a real legitimate struggle at times. And then Ryan, what you mentioned as well about those gateways, rookie mini camp is like the first one where it's like, oh, there's football, and it's like, oh, it's just really kind of like an orientation. And then there's mini camp and OTA, and then you're like, there's no pads, and then not really doing any like real team activities or nothing of substance. And then it's camp, and it's like, oh, look, the pads aren't on yet. Then the pads are on. Then it's preseason. There's just these different gateways where there's different takeaways from it, but it still tastes good to have football back, and I know you're looking forward to it as well.
It is, in the off-season program, you talk about how to cover these things, and everyone's different. Everyone's got their own process. For me, I'll start play-by-play in the off-season program for the 2-minute drill, right? They're not in pads. It's not full speed, but that's the closest thing to football. Once training camp happens, once the pads are on, you chart play-by-play for everything, right? And yet it's still not as important as the actual play-by-play coming in the regular season once the snaps are live. So it is that build-up, but this will be more significant. Once the pads are on, especially in training camp, this will be another step closer to real, actual football that is meaningful.
All right, not to rub salt in a wound, Ryan. Again, as we're being joined by Ryan Wood, you can find him on social media at by Ryan Wood. I know you're a Mets fan, but I also know you are a Pacers fan. I'm sure that the wound is still open and not healed in any way, shape, or form. I have to ask though, because I have not had the chance. Tyler Brook, who we're having on later this week, is a big Pacers fan as well. I have not had the chance to talk to you or him since the end of the NBA Finals. I can't imagine. I don't even know how to properly ask this question of. First of all, what an unbelievable, remarkable run where you have these fourth quarter comebacks, and it just feels like there's not only 9 lives, but there is a magic hat that Tyrese Halliburton found backstage, and everything just goes to a movie script, sort of, just Hollywood script through the entirety of the playoffs and going into the finals. And you of course have a Halliburton injury, which is disappointing. You still get to a game 6. He plays well. He plays through it. You have an unbelievable game or win in game 6 of the finals, and then you get to game 7, and of all of that magic just goes in the absolute reverse. You have a crushing defeat in game 7 of the finals. Tyrese Halliburton tears his Achilles. Then you have Miles Turner leaving free agency, and you go from the precipice of the most magical season and just the ultimate win in the finals for a championship to just heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. I don't even know how to ask the question, but how do you recover from that? It's one of the more brutal knife in the back moments I think I've ever seen in sports.
Well, Andy, I'm not sure you do.
Sure.
That's the fear, right? This as a Pacers, it feels a lot like the aftermath of the Palace Brawl back in 2004. Now, it's very different. But you watch your franchise get detonated in an instant. And it's like, oh, God, what now? The Game 7 was the worst sports moment for me as a fan in my life that I've ever had. And it's not close. It would be the close. I was trying to think of a Packers-y way to explain this. It would probably be the equivalent of if the 2014 NFC Championship game collapse was actually in the Super Bowl. Like, that's the only thing that could really compare, right?
And it was like Aaron tore his ACL in the game or something at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's the injury, even more that, like, losing a Game 7 of the NBA Finals is bad enough, especially when you really feel like you have this team of destiny that is going to carry you through that moment. That's bad enough. It's the injury that's even worse. So, what can you do? I was at Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals to see the Pacers get to the NBA Finals for the first time in 25 years. There were moments along the way that you'll always value and cherish, but for anybody that's a fan, the ultimate prize is a championship, right? There's a reason why 2010 is a signature year in Packers history. They won the title that year. That's what you're ultimately always hoping for. So to not finish it and then to have your franchise just detonate, but it was like watching a horror show. It really was. It was less sports and more just this sheer horror.
It went from magical journey to train wreck in the blink of an eye, and it was painful. I didn't even like the Pacers certainly as a Bucks fan, and it was very painful to watch, and didn't even wish that upon a team that's one of your enemies. I'm just like, I don't even wish that cruel and unusual punishment onto them in any way, shape, or form, and certainly not onto Tyrese Halliburton, who had an unbelievable run. Ryan, I know you got to get out of here. I cannot thank you enough. We're all going to be watching and keeping a very close eye on your Packers coverage coming up. What do you want to plug on the way out here?
Just anything and everything at PackersNews.com. Andy, I've spent the last 5 weeks on vacation. That time between mini camp and training camp is always very important for me to unwind. Yep. This changes now. It is absolute pedal to the metal, 100 miles an hour, really from here to January, maybe February. So there's going to be wall-to-wall coverage starting this week at PackersNews.com. Make sure you go check everything out there.
We cannot thank you enough for it. We'll all be watching and listening and reading very intently. We appreciate you joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. We'll be following you at by Ryan Wood on social media, and we'll do this again very soon. Appreciate you, Ryan.
All right, take care.
You as well. That is Ryan Wood. Again, follow him on social at by Ryan Wood. This is the Pack a Day Radio Show. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to the Pack a Day Radio Show. Huge thank you to Ryan Wood for joining us this past segment. Again, follow him on social media at by Ryan Wood and over on PackersNews.com. As always, we've got the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder and Ellis coming up next from 9 to 11. And if you're not checking out the Pack a Day Radio Show as a podcast, make sure you're doing that as well. You can find us anytime on your favorite podcast channels, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you get your favorite pods. Catch every episode, listen by individual hour, or jump straight to the highlights. Just open up your favorite podcast app, search Pack a Day Radio Show, hit the follow button so you get every minute of every show your way and on your time. You can find us over on YouTube as well. And while you're doing so, make sure to check out the Pack a Day podcast as well. Tommy, we've got a leadoff show coming up later today. Late game tonight in Seattle, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep. 7:30 leadoff show, 8:40 first pitch today.
All right, what are we feeling about tonight's game? Who do we got pitching? And just in general, what are you most excited about with the Brewers right now in a moment in time where there's lots to be excited about?
Well, there is a lot to be excited about, but Andy, this might be the most important series of the year. If you are unaware, we are 2 wins away from free burgers from George Webb's with the 12-game winning streak. So
love this.
That is major must watch. Brandon Woodruff on the bump today. I was just talking with Mitch as he came in. The Brewers just swept the Dodgers, right? Again, by the way. And now they get to have Woodruff and Miz go the next 2 days with Priester to close things out. Like, it's the pitching staff is easily the most exciting thing and the most fun thing to watch about this Brewers team. I'm excited. I cannot wait. West Coast baseball schedule wasn't too bad this year. I mean, 9 o'clock first pitch. I know 8:40 isn't really much better, but 20 minutes makes a lot of difference, actually, on that side of it. And I'm excited to watch the Brewers just continue to be hot. 10 in a row right now. Best record in the National League. Just got to chase down the Cubs. Drew Wagner said, better the hunter than the hunted right now. And the Brewers are absolutely showing that out right now.
Yeah, both teams 59 and 40. The Detroit Tigers 60 and 40, but they're only 4-6 in their last 10. So Brewers are at plus 85 in run differential. That is third right now to the Yankees, who are plus 112. The Cubs, who are plus 123 in first, and then of course your Milwaukee Brewers.
If you
again
took away the Brewers,
85.
if you took away that series
Yankees,
from the Yankees, would they even be in first
they're
place?
Swapped.
Yes,
They're swapped
exactly
for sure.
the same thing. We've come a long way since March 30th or 29th, whatever that was, for sure. Now this team may be the most excited I've been, like I said, of all time for this team.
Well, they started 0-4, right?
Yeah, and they got swept by the Yankees. They gave up 20 runs in one of those games. I'm pretty sure. I think the closest margin was, I want to say it was either 4-2 or 4-0 opening day when Freddie pitched. And Freddie's been unreal too. Now he's won 6 straight starts in a row now. First time that's happened for a Brewer since 1992. I really just think that Pat Murphy has these boys believing that they are doubted for some reason, which everyone keeps coming into every series now, just trying to look ahead of them. And they've done that all the way up. June 18th, Andy, about a month ago today, they were 6.5 games back. Now they are tied with the Cubs.
I will, for the record, say that I kept saying I still believe in this Brewers team. I still believe in this Brewers team every step of the way. I didn't doubt them. I really did. There was that one point where I'm like, all right, I'm getting a little bit nervous that it's not getting turned on here. But really, they got Woodruff back. Mizorowski came up, and the bats got a little bit hotter.
Yeah, I mean,
Caleb
Durbin is now just Barry Bonds.
How about Joey Ortiz with the new stance and just barreling up balls too as well? Like that's really fun to see because if he doesn't have to hit much right with his defense. If he can just hit a little, it goes a long way. And he's now hitting a little bit more than a little as of late. If that can stick, whew. That's really fun.
Yesterday, I don't know if you saw the error by Andy Pajes in center field when Joey Ortiz just ripped it to him. They tried to call that a double off the jump, and I couldn't believe it. Immediately texted my dad and was like, there's no way baseball is soft if that's a double right there. And it finally got changed, but he did barrel it up, and then he got his double later on in the game. So he still got one. I mean, he's been on fire with that new stance, and I asked Drew about it. I mean, it's really just an act of desperation out of Joey Ortiz, too, because who's changing their stance so drastically in the middle of a season unless you are just absolutely desperate for anything to happen? And it worked out in his favor during that Dodger series for sure. We'll see if he can keep it heading into Seattle.
There's always that point. You change a stance, change a bat, change the size of the bat, use somebody else's bat. Like you're trying anything at some point. And he was to that point, and thank goodness. I don't know who made that suggestion or recommendation to him, but kudos to whoever did because it's worked out great. If that's just something he did on his own, even cooler. All right, let's get to our Potawatomi Sportsbook final thought of the day.
You got to do some smart thinking.
It's time for Andy Herman's final thought of the day.
What are you thinking?
Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What the hell were you thinking?
You're listening to the Pack-A-Day Radio Show on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan.
All right, so we mentioned that there are now 3 open roster spots. You would expect all 3 of those to get filled today, tomorrow, or maybe very early on Wednesday so that these players are ready to go at the start of camp. There's really no reason not to do that. Some positions that would potentially make sense. Running back, you only have 5 healthy players with Amar Johnson currently injured. Defensive end, you only have 7 healthy players with Colin Oliver currently injured. Defensive tackle, only 8 players on the roster in totality. Linebacker, only 6 healthy players with Quay Walker currently out, and corner only 8, I guess 9 if you would include Bo Melton in that list as well. but certainly some spots that you could add a little bit of depth and competition to. Just some random names. I know everyone's going to want an Asante Samuel or a big name. I'll give you more Packers names. Packers or names that could actually make sense that you could see them signing. I expect these to primarily be kind of UDFA types, guys that we probably haven't heard of all that much, but a few names. Chris Barnes, the former Packers linebacker, is out there. He's actually gone on to have a pretty solid career as a really good special teams player as well. If they want a linebacker, they could do worse than picking him up at this point of the year. Janarius Robinson's a former defensive end for the Raiders. He's had a cup of coffee in the league. If they want to try to replace Colin Oliver for the time being, he could be a name that makes sense. Some corners who have some high pedigree, some early draft picks that haven't worked out. This is kind of, again, the Rasul Douglas type MO for Green Bay. Jack Jones, former corner for the Raiders and the Patriots. Caleb Farley, the former Titans first round pick. And then CJ Henderson, the former Jaguars first round pick. And then Tyrion Davis-Price is a running back who was just recently released by the Tennessee Titans. He could be a player they pick up to replace Amar Johnson for the time being while he is working back from injury. So I expect them to add 3 players in the near future. And again, running back, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker, corner could be those spots that would make the most sense for Green Bay. All right, we are going to be back with Mitch and Mason as we get ready for the Mason Crosby Show in just a moment. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in just a second.